The October rain hammered Brooklyn like bullets against concrete, each drop carrying the weight of 3 years' worth of buried memories. Alex Carter stood behind Murphy's diner at 2 in the morning, his hands trembling as he gripped the trash bags that suddenly felt heavier than the crushing debt letters waiting in his Queens apartment mailbox. The alley stretched before him like a mouthful of shadows, same kind of darkness that had swallowed Tyler whole that December night when Alex found him blue-lipped on their dorm room floor, needles still hanging from his arm. Same helpless feeling of being too late, knowing too little. Watching someone you love slip away while you fumble for answers that never come. Mrs. O'Malley had given Alex this job 3 years ago when he stumbled into Murphy's broken and desperate Columbia Medical School dreams shattered along with his faith in his ability to save anyone. The Irish-American woman never asked questions about his Ohio accent or why a former pre-med student was slinging hash browns at 4 a.m. Alex heaved the first bag toward the dumpster, muscle memory taking over. The routine usually quieted the ghosts, but tonight felt different. Tonight, the anniversary of Hurricane Sandy mixed with his own storms, creating a perfect tempest of anxiety. The second bag hit the concrete with a wet thud, and that's when he heard it. Crying. The kind that comes from tiny lungs that haven't learned how to hurt quietly yet. Behind the larger dumpster, barely visible in the weak glow from the diner's backlight, he saw them. 2 infant car seats sitting on the wet asphalt like abandoned hope. The babies inside couldn't have been more than 10 months old, their small faces scrunched with distress. But it was the man slumped against the brick wall that stopped Alex's breath completely. Even in the dim light, Alex could see the dark stains spreading across his left shoulder, mixing rain with something darker. The stranger's expensive suit was ruined, his olive skin pale with shock, but his hands still gripped the handle of the nearest car seat with white-knuckled desperation. Alex dropped to his knees beside them, his medical training kicking in before his fear could stop him. The man's eyes fluttered open, dark as espresso and filled with terror. "Please," the word came out barely above a whisper, heavily accented with traces of Boston Italian. "Please don't call hospital. They'll find them. They'll take my babies." Alex pressed his hands against the shoulder wound, feeling warm blood seep between his fingers. The injury was serious but survivable if treated properly. But the babies were crying harder now, and the man's breathing was getting shallow. And somewhere in the chaos, Alex heard Tyler's voice whisper the words that had haunted him for 3 years. "Save them. Alex. This time, save them." The decision came like lightning, sudden and irreversible. Alex pocketed his phone and looked at the man whose desperation he recognized like his own reflection. "Okay," Alex said, surprising himself with the steadiness in his voice. "Okay, but we need to move you. Can you make it to my truck?" As Alex helped the stranger to his feet, supporting his weight while carefully lifting the car seats, he caught sight of something that made his heart skip. A photo tucked into the corner of one carrier. 2 men smiling at the camera, one with dark hair and olive skin, the other blonde with gentle eyes wearing scrubs, both wearing wedding rings, both looking at the babies in their arms like they were holding the entire universe. David and Vincent. Someone had written on the back in careful script, "With Emma and James, our miracles." Alex understood then, with the clarity that only comes in moments that change everything. This wasn't just about helping a stranger. This was about protecting a family that had already lost too much. The rain kept falling as Alex loaded them into his battered Ford pickup, but something inside him had shifted. For the first time since Tyler died, Alex felt like he was moving towards something instead of just surviving it. When love calls for courage, sometimes the only answer is to show up and hold on tight. Because family isn't always about blood. Sometimes it's about choosing to stay when staying seems impossible. This is Heart Stories, where every connection matters and every choice to love courageously changes the world. What would you risk to protect the family you choose? The drive to Queens had never felt longer. Alex's hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles had gone white, his eyes darting between the road and the rearview mirror where Vincent Martinez lay unconscious against the headrest. The stranger had whispered his name during a moment of clarity, along with the twins' names, Emma and James, before fever claimed him again. Roosevelt Avenue bustled with late-night life even at this hour. Korean bodegas stayed open for shift workers. Taxi drivers grabbed coffee between fares, and the beautiful chaos of immigrant dreams played out under flickering streetlights. Alex had chosen this neighborhood 3 years ago because nobody asked questions, and everyone understood the value of minding your own business. Getting Vincent up 3 flights of stairs tested every muscle Alex had built during his brief wrestling career back in Ohio. Vincent was easily 6'2" and solid muscle under his expensive suit, dead weight that threatened to send them both tumbling backward with each labored step. But something in Vincent's fierce grip on the twins' car seat handles told Alex this man had been carrying impossible weight long before tonight. The shoulder wound was a through and through, which meant the bullet had exited cleanly without shattering bone or nicking major arteries. Alex's hands steadied as he cleaned the injury with rubbing alcohol, his mind automatically cataloging the steps Tyler's overdose had taught him. Stop the bleeding. Prevent infection. Monitor vital signs. Don't let anyone die on your watch. Vincent's fever spiked around 4 a.m., his body fighting shock in the beginning stages of infection. He thrashed weakly on the futon, muttering in Italian mixed with English fragments. "David," Vincent called out, his voice breaking with grief that felt fresh as an open wound. "Protect our babies. Promise me. David, keep them safe." Alex pressed a cool washcloth to Vincent's forehead and found himself whispering reassurances to a stranger whose pain he recognized in his own bones. The twins needed attention Alex had no idea how to provide. Emma accepted her bottle with serious dark eyes that seemed to hold too much understanding for someone so small. James fought everything, arching his back until Alex discovered that singing quietly helped him settle. Alex found himself humming old Ohio lullabies his grandmother had sung, songs about rivers and farmland that felt like another lifetime. Both twins responded to the vibration in his chest when he held them close, their small bodies gradually relaxing against his heartbeat. There was something profound about being trusted with such complete vulnerability. As dawn crept through his apartment windows, Alex sat on the floor between the futon where Vincent slept fitfully and the makeshift crib he'd created from couch cushions for the twins. His clothes were stained with blood and formula, his eyes burned with exhaustion. But something inside him felt more alive than it had in 3 years. Vincent had been wearing a wedding ring when Alex found him, a simple gold band that caught the light every time his fever made him reach for phantoms. The photo Alex had seen earlier told a story that was becoming clearer with each piece of evidence. 2 fathers, 2 babies, and a missing piece that explained the fresh grief underlying Vincent's desperation. James woke first as morning light filled the apartment, his hungry cries pulling Alex from the light doze he'd finally managed. As Alex warmed a bottle and changed tiny diapers with hands that were getting more confident with each attempt, he caught Vincent watching him from the futon. The fever had broken, leaving Vincent pale but alert, his dark eyes tracking every movement Alex made with his children. "You're good with them," Vincent said, his voice rough with dehydration and emotion. His Italian accent was softer now, Boston inflected in a way that spoke of second-generation immigration and old family money. "They usually don't take to strangers this easily." Alex settled Emma against his shoulder, patting her back in the gentle rhythm he'd learned through trial and error. "I'm making it up as I go along. My experience with babies pretty much starts and ends with last night." "You're safe here," Alex heard himself say. "All 3 of you, for as long as you need." Vincent's eyes filled with something that might have been tears if he had allowed them to fall. 3 years of grief and single parenting had obviously taught him that vulnerability was a luxury he couldn't afford. The decision to trust Alex hadn't been made lightly, but sometimes when you're falling, you grab onto whoever's willing to catch you, even if they're falling too. What Alex was learning was that catching each other might be the first step toward learning how to fly. Love often arrives disguised as crisis, demanding we become braver than we thought possible. The willingness to risk everything for someone else's children teaches us that family has nothing to do with biology and everything to do with choice. The next 2 weeks unfolded like a strange kind of domestic dream that Alex had never dared imagine for himself. Vincent healed slowly but steadily, His natural resilience, aided by Alex's careful medical attention and the stubborn determination of a man who had two small humans depending on him. The apartment that had felt cramped for one person somehow expanded to accommodate a makeshift family of four. Mrs. O'Malley hadn't questioned Alex's sudden stomach flu, but her sharp Irish eyes had grown sharper when he'd called in sick for 3 days running. When he finally returned to work, moving carefully to hide his exhaustion, she pulled him aside. "You've got that look," she said. "Same look my Patrick had when he was hiding something important. You in some kind of trouble." Alex's throat tightened with the weight of lies he was learning to carry. "Just been under the weather, Miss..." "Oh, nothing that won't pass." She studied his face for a long moment, then nodded slowly. "Well, if that weather gets worse, you know where to find help." Back in the apartment, Vincent was discovering what it meant to parent in a space designed for someone with an actual support system. The twins were growing more active each day, Emma pulling herself up on furniture with determined concentration, while James had mastered the art of rolling toward whatever he wanted most. Vincent's shoulder limited his ability to chase after them, forcing him to rely on Alex in ways that clearly frustrated his independent nature. It was during one of their bath time sessions that Vincent first shared the story Alex had been waiting to hear. David had been a pediatric oncologist at Children's Hospital Boston, the kind of doctor who specialized in making the worst days of people's lives a little more bearable. They'd met at a charity fundraiser for LGBTQ youth. Vincent there because his family's legitimate businesses required certain social appearances. David there because he believed in using his privilege to lift others up. "My family wasn't thrilled about David," Vincent admitted, watching Alex gently rinse shampoo from Emma's hair. Italian-American crime families aren't exactly known for their progressive attitudes toward relationships, but David had this way of winning people over. He'd show up to family dinners with homemade bread and stories about the kids he was treating. The twins had been born after David pushed through Vincent's family's objections to adoption. David had handled the legal paperwork, the home studies, the careful navigation of a system that wasn't always friendly to non-traditional families. The accident had happened on a Tuesday. David driving home from a late shift at the hospital. A drunk driver ran a red light at exactly the wrong moment, and the life they'd carefully built together shattered like glass against concrete. Vincent's grief was complicated by logistics that David had always handled. Suddenly, he was navigating single parenthood while managing family business obligations and his own trauma. Vincent had been drowning slowly for months before the events that brought him to Alex's alley. But it was during quiet moments that Alex began to understand the man beneath the tragedy. Vincent made pasta sauce from memory, teaching Alex the family recipe while Emma napped in her carrier and James played with wooden spoons on the kitchen floor. Alex shared his own stories gradually, growing up in Ohio with parents who loved him until they learned something about him that challenged their worldview. Medical school dreams that died in a dorm room at 3 in the morning. The class differences between them created an odd tension that neither wanted to acknowledge directly, but Emma and James served as equalizers, reducing both men to the same fundamental needs, keeping tiny humans fed, clean, safe, and loved. It was James who brought them together physically for the first time. The baby had been fussing for hours when Alex finally picked him up and began walking laps around the small apartment. Vincent joined them, his good arms supporting James's legs while Alex held his upper body. The baby settled immediately, comforted by being held between two heartbeats that were learning to sync with each other. They stood like that for nearly an hour, swaying gently while James dozed and Emma watched from her car seat. Alex became acutely aware of Vincent's proximity, the way his cologne mixed with baby soap and something uniquely him. Vincent's free hand came to rest on Alex's lower back, steadying all of them. When Vincent finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "Thank you for all of this. You didn't have to stay, but you did." Alex met his eyes over James's sleeping head. "Where else would I go? This is the first place that's felt like home since before Tyler died." The admission hung between them, heavy with possibility and the kind of hope that feels dangerous when you've been broken before. But Emma chose that moment to start fussing, demanding attention that broke the tension and reminded them both that whatever was growing between them had to be built around the needs of two small people who'd already lost one father. Sometimes the family you need arrives in pieces, requiring assembly through patience and faith and the willingness to redefine everything you thought you knew about love. The courage to stay when leaving feels safer teaches us that home isn't a place you find, but something you build with people who choose to see your full truth. The first sign of trouble came through a phone call Alex wasn't supposed to overhear. Vincent's phone buzzed with an unknown number, his voice tight with controlled tension when he answered. "I know you're alive, Martinez." The voice on the other end was loud enough for Alex to catch fragments. Lorenzo Castellano's Boston accent carried casual menace. "You can't hide forever. Not with those babies slowing you down." Vincent's knuckles went white around the phone. "You stay away from my children, Lorenzo. This is between us." Lorenzo's laughter was sharp as broken glass. "Nothing's between us anymore. Cousin, Uncle Tony's getting old, and the family needs new leadership. Someone without divided loyalties. Someone who doesn't embarrass us with his lifestyle choices." The call ended abruptly, leaving Vincent staring at the phone like it might explode. 2 days later, Alex returned from a formula run to find his apartment door standing open. His heart stopped as he took in the scene inside. Furniture overturned, drawers dumped, clear signs of a violent search. But what made his blood turn to ice was the silence. No crying, no voices, no sounds of life at all. Alex found them in the bedroom. Vincent pressed against the closet door with Emma and James hidden behind him, his good arm gripping a kitchen knife while his wounded shoulder bled through fresh bandages. Two men in expensive suits lay unconscious on the floor, zip ties around their wrists. "They came through the window," Vincent said, breathing hard. Said Lorenzo sent them to deliver a message about what happens to people who don't know their place. Alex's hands shook as he checked both twins, finding them unharmed but scared. That's when his phone rang. Marcus, his co-worker from Murphy's. "Alex, man, where are you? Mrs. O'Malley's been asking questions, and there's some sketchy guys in suits asking about you at the diner." "Marcus," Alex said carefully, "I need help, real help. Can you get to my apartment without being followed?" Within an hour, though, Alex's small apartment was full of people he'd never expected to see together. Marcus arrived first, taking in the scene with calm born from growing up where violence was common. Mrs. O'Malley appeared with Father Mackenzie, the progressive priest who'd been quietly supporting LGBTQ families in the parish for decades. Mrs. O'Malley took one look at Vincent holding the twins and seemed to understand everything. "You're the reason Alex has been walking around like a man carrying the world." Father Mackenzie assessed their situation with practical wisdom. "We can't call the police, too many questions, and official channels might not be safe." That's when Mrs. O'Malley revealed a side of herself Alex had never suspected. The Irish community in Brooklyn has been dealing with complicated law enforcement relationships for generations. We have resources for situations like this, ways to keep families safe when the system can't be trusted. Within hours, Murphy's Diner had transformed into an unofficial command center. Mrs. O'Malley made phone calls in rapid Irish that summoned a network of people who asked no questions but provided everything needed. A van with tinted windows, clean phones, medical supplies, car seats that couldn't be traced. But it was Uncle Tony's unexpected arrival that changed everything. Vincent's family patriarch appeared like a ghost from another era. 70 years old, but carrying himself with the authority of someone accustomed to being the most dangerous person in any room. "Vincent," Tony said, his Brooklyn Italian accent thick with old country tradition. "You should have called me sooner. Lorenzo's been making moves I didn't authorize." Threatening children crosses lines even our business doesn't cross. Tony's presence shifted the entire dynamic. Phone calls were made in Italian too rapid for Alex to follow. Lorenzo's immediate threat was neutralized through methods Alex didn't want to understand. But Tony's most surprising move came when he sat down across from Alex and studied him with eyes that had seen everything. "You're the one who's been caring for Vincent and the babies." Alex nodded, unsure how to respond. "David would have liked you," Tony said finally. He had good instincts about people. Used to tell Vincent that family isn't about blood, it's about who shows up when showing up is dangerous. Tony turned to Alex. You willing to stand with his family? All the complications that come with it. Alex looked at Vincent, at the twins who'd become essential to his breathing, at the chosen family who'd risked themselves to protect people they barely knew. Yes, he said. Yes, I am. Then we fight. Tony said simply, we protect what matters, and we send a message that families aren't negotiable. But first, we get you somewhere Lorenzo can't reach while we settle this properly. The next morning, they were packed into Mrs. O'Malley's van heading north toward Massachusetts. The Boston skyline appeared like a promise on the horizon. As they crossed state lines with Vincent's hand resting warm and steady on Alex's thigh, Alex realized they weren't just escaping danger. They were driving toward a future worth believing in. True courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the decision to love fiercely in spite of danger. When we choose to protect each other's children, family becomes a force more powerful than blood or law, capable of reshaping the world through the simple act of refusing to abandon hope. Cambridge in autumn felt like stepping into a life Alex had stopped believing was possible. The safe house Uncle Tony arranged sat 3 blocks from Harvard Square, its red brick facade whispering promises of education and possibility. Vincent moved through the space with careful appreciation, his shoulder finally healing properly thanks to the doctor Tony had sent. Emma and James adapted with the resilience babies possess, treating each room as a new adventure. Emma had learned to pull herself up and cruise along furniture, while James had mastered crawling and was working on the complex problem of stairs. Their laughter filled spaces that had been too quiet for too long. It was Father Mackenzie who brought the Harvard Medical School application to Alex. Arriving on a Thursday afternoon with paperwork and gentle insistence, the deadline had passed, but certain phone calls had been made, certain strings pulled. Suddenly, Alex was facing the possibility that his interrupted education might not be permanently derailed. You should do it, Vincent said that evening, both twins finally asleep upstairs. Alex stared at papers like he was reading Braille. I can't afford Harvard. And I can't leave Emma and James. Or you. Vincent's smile was soft in the lamplight. David always said the best doctors were the ones who understood what it meant to need saving. Uncle Tony's legitimate businesses include scholarship funds, and Cambridge is a good place to raise children. Uncle Tony arrived as if summoned, appearing at their front door with casual authority and the quiet affection of a grandfather. He'd taken to stopping by unannounced, ostensibly to check on Vincent, but really to play with Emma and James. Lorenzo won't be bothering you anymore, Tony announced, settling into his unofficial throne. He's been relocated to Florida operations. The family understands that Vincent's children are protected. There's something else, he continued, eyes fixed on Alex. Vincent's been talking about making this arrangement permanent, about building a life here that honors what David wanted for those babies. Vincent reached for Alex's hand. We've been thinking about adoption paperwork, about making you Emma and James's legal parent. If that's something you want, about marriage, if that's something you want too. Alex looked around the room that had become home, at Tony bouncing James on his knee, at Vincent whose dark eyes held hope and fear. Yes, Alex said, the words stronger than expected. Yes to all of it. Vincent's kiss tasted like promises, and forever that gets built one day at a time. Emma chose that moment to wake and toddle unsteadily toward them, with James immediately following his sister. The adoption process took 6 months of paperwork and home studies. Alex threw himself into medical school preparation with the intensity of someone given a second chance at impossible dreams. Vincent transitioned from crime family business to legitimate consulting, his sharp mind finding new applications. The proposal happened at a Fenway Park during Red Sox Pride Night. Vincent nervous as a teenager as he got down on one knee in front of 37,000 people. Alex said yes into the microphone, his acceptance trending within minutes. Their wedding was small and perfect, held in their own backyard with Father Mackenzie officiating and Mrs. O'Malley crying into tissues. Emma and James served as ring bearers, trotting down the aisle in matching outfits that made Uncle Tony openly weep. Alex started Harvard Medical School that fall with a focus on emergency medicine. Vincent adapted to being a full-time parent with intensity he'd once brought to family business. Emma spoke her first words on a Tuesday morning, pointing at Alex and saying, "Papa." James followed with Daddy while looking at Vincent. By spring, their house had become a gathering place for other families like theirs. LGBTQ parents with adopted children, couples building lives that required courage and community support. Uncle Tony funded a scholarship program for medical students from non-traditional backgrounds. 2 years later, Alex graduated with Vincent and the twins cheering from the audience. Emma and James started kindergarten speaking 3 languages fluently: English, Italian, and what they privately called baseball, involving statistics and passionate loyalty to teams that hadn't won championships in decades. Their life wasn't perfect. Vincent still woke from nightmares about David. Alex struggled with imposter syndrome in medical school. The twins tested boundaries and demanded patience neither had known they possessed. But perfect had never been the goal. The goal had been love, fierce enough to reshape circumstances, courage strong enough to protect what mattered most. On quiet Sunday mornings, when both twins slept past dawn and the house held peaceful silence of contentment rather than crisis, Alex and Vincent would marvel at the life they had accidentally created together. Outside their window, Cambridge woke slowly on weekends, their neighborhood having embraced them completely. What does it mean to find your family in the most unexpected places? How do we learn that love isn't about perfection, but about the willingness to stay and build something beautiful from whatever pieces life gives us? If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to know that every family has a story worth telling, and every love that chooses courage over fear changes the world a little bit more. Subscribe to Heart Stories for more tales of unexpected families and the kinds of happy endings that get earned through hope and the simple decision to love without limits.